Chapter 1. Rift on the Grand Line. The Going Merry, or rather, the Thousand Sunny, was alive with energy as the Straw Hat Pirates sailed through choppy seas. The Grand Line was as wild as ever, but today felt different. Nami stood at the helm, eyes narrowed at a strange, swirling cloud bank ahead. Robin's gaze was fixed on a tattered old book, her calm voice drifting over the deck. There are rumors of islands that appear out of nowhere. Portals, some say. Gateways to another world. Luffy, hanging from the Sunny's Line figurehead, blinked at the cloud, grinning. I wonder if there's any meat over there. Zoro yawned. If it's trouble, let's just cut through it. But before anyone could answer, the sea beneath them started to swirl, impossibly fast, faster than any whirlpool they'd seen. Usopp shrieked and grabbed Chopper, while Sanji tried to steady the kitchen supplies. Frankie hollered, "Hold on, everyone," as the ship pitched violently. A shaft of golden light burst from the center of the cloud, and the world went white. At the same moment, far away in the hidden Leaf Village, Naruto Uzumaki raced across rooftops, trailing a very annoyed Sasuke and an exasperated Sakura. "Naruto, stop chasing that cat. It's not even on our mission list," Sakura yelled. Sasuke rolled his eyes. He never listens. But Naruto leapt forward, reaching for the cat, and suddenly the world shuddered. A crack of light erupted under his feet, swallowing him whole. Sasuke and Sakura barely had time to react before the rift widened, pulling them in. A chill swept over them as everything turned bright and then utterly dark. When the light faded, Naruto groaned and sat up on unfamiliar wooden planks. The salty tang of the ocean filled his nose. He blinked and saw a reindeer with a blue nose. Chopper, halfway between shock and terror, screamed, Who are you?" Naruto scrambled to his feet, instantly on guard. Sasuke and Sakura landed beside him, weapons drawn. They found themselves on the deck of a massive ship, surrounded by the Straw Hat Pirates, every one of them tense, but not immediately hostile. Luffy stepped forward, big grin on his face. "Hey, are you guys pirates too? Or are you ninjas?" Sakura shot Naruto a look. "What have you done this time?" Naruto scratched his head. "Oh, I think I fell. Really hard. Hi, I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Zoro eyed Sasuke warily. "He doesn't look like a pirate." Sanji, still fixing his tie, muttered, "Don't let them near the kitchen." Robin, ever the observer, noted, "Their clothes aren't from any island I know." How curious. The tension was thick. Usopp whispered to Frankie, "Maybe they're bounty hunters." But before the standoff could escalate, the ship rocked violently again. From the swirling clouds above, a booming laugh echoed, a voice none of them recognized. "Welcome, travelers. Enjoy your new home, if you survive long enough to find it." The clouds parted, and a strange, jagged island loomed on the horizon, one neither Straw Hat nor Shinobi had ever seen. Lightning forked through the sky, casting unnatural shadows. Something was deeply wrong here. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. "We need answers. Fast." Luffy's grin widened. "New friends. New adventure. Let's go." Sakura sighed, but a tiny smile crept onto her lips. Maybe this wasn't a nightmare after all. As the Thousand Sunny sailed closer to the ominous island, the combined crews, pirate and ninja, shared wary glances. The adventure had just begun. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Shadows on the New Island. The Thousand Sunny drifted toward the jagged island as the strange storm finally began to subside. The combined crew watched in wary silence. The land ahead was unlike anything in the Grand Line. Twisted trees, unnatural fog, and glimmering rocks jutting from the black sand beaches. The air itself seemed heavy, tinged with energy that felt both wild and familiar. As the Sunny dropped anchor, Nami pulled Luffy aside. "Something's off. My log pose is spinning like crazy, and my compass doesn't work here." Robin nodded. Her eyes narrowed as she examined the landscape. "It feels ancient, like a place out of a legend." Naruto, bouncing on the balls of his feet, grinned at the Straw Hats. "All right. New place, new friends, new mystery." He stretched and looked at Luffy. "Bet you I can get to the top of that cliff before you." Luffy's eyes sparkled. "You're on." Before anyone could stop them, both Luffy and Naruto bolted off the ship, Naruto sprinting, Luffy stretching his arms to slingshot ahead. Sakura buried her face in her hands. "Great. Double trouble." Zoro glanced at Sasuke. "Are they always like that?" Sasuke gave a small, almost imperceptible smirk. "You get used to it." "Sort of." The rest of the group disembarked more carefully. Frankie scanned the beach for danger, while Usopp and Chopper nervously crept behind Sanji, who was already grumbling about sand in his shoes. As the crews explored, strange phenomena became immediately apparent. The air shimmered with swirling lights, and odd stone monoliths marked the island's interior, each etched with symbols unfamiliar to both Robin and Sasuke. Robin brushed her fingers across one. These aren't poneglyphs, but they almost feel like seals. Sasuke knelt beside another monolith, Sharingan spinning to life. They're channeling chakra, but there's something else mixed in, something foreign. Nami shivered. This whole place gives me the creeps. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A jagged fissure split open in front of Naruto and Luffy, forcing them to leap back. A creature, part serpent, part shadow, slithered out, eyes glowing red. It hissed, spitting a glob of black energy that sizzled where it hit the sand. Whoa! Naruto cried, dropping into a defensive stance. Luffy, excited as ever, cracked his knuckles. This thing looks fun. Before they could attack, Sakura raced in, tossing a kunai with expert precision to distract the beast. Zoro and Sasuke, moving as one, rushed forward. Zoro's blades gleamed, and Sasuke's Chidori crackled, merging in a dazzling display of sword and lightning as they struck together. The creature shrieked and dissolved into mist. Naruto pumped his fist. Nice move, Sasuke. Zoro gave Sasuke a curt nod. Not bad, kid. The ground rumbled again, and the booming voice from before echoed over the island. Welcome, challengers. This is my domain now. Only those worthy of both worlds will survive. Chopper clung to Usopp, trembling. Who is that? Robin's eyes darkened. Someone, or something, has merged the powers of both our worlds. This island is just the beginning. Sakura turned to Naruto, her resolve firm. We need to find out who's behind this. And fast. Luffy grinned at Naruto, punching his fist into his palm. Let's go, ninja. Adventure's waiting. Naruto's grin matched his. Believe it. As the sun set behind the warped trees, the Pirate Ninja Alliance marched into the island's shadowy heart, united by curiosity, courage, and the certainty that their greatest challenge was only just beginning. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Power Unleashed, Bonds Tested. The sun had barely slipped below the horizon when the group paused at a clearing surrounded by towering, twisted trees. Their trunks pulsed with veins of blue light that reminded Sakura eerily of chakra. The ground sparkled with grains of a substance almost like gold dust, crunching underfoot. Usopp peered around anxiously. This place is way too quiet. What if that monster thing comes back with friends? Chopper, still jittery, nodded. And what if they're even bigger? Frankie, ever the optimist, flexed his arms. Then we show them what the Super Straw Hats can do. Sasuke and Zoro took point, their eyes scanning the shifting shadows. Robin and Sakura walked together, discussing the monoliths and the seals, occasionally pausing to sketch the patterns. Robin found herself intrigued by Sakura's knowledge of chakra, while Sakura admired Robin's knack for deciphering ancient symbols. Meanwhile, Naruto and Luffy led the charge, arguing over who could punch harder, then settling it with a contest to see who could spot the next clue first. Their laughter was a bright spot amid the tension, and even Sanji found himself smiling as he unpacked a makeshift kitchen on the edge of the clearing. Sanji soon drew a small crowd. All right, you weird ninjas, ever had real food before? Watch and learn. Naruto's stomach growled. Is it as good as ramen? Sanji rolled his eyes, but produced a bowl of spicy seafood noodles. Try this. Naruto slurped it up, his eyes going wide. Whoa, this is amazing, but it's not ramen. Luffy, not to be outdone, stuck his face in the next bowl. Meat. While Naruto and Luffy sparred with chopsticks and bowls, the others explored. Sasuke paused near a monolith, his Sharingan detecting something odd, a shimmering pulse not just of chakra, but another energy as well. Zoro noticed the way his sword seemed to vibrate near the stone, as if something was calling to them. Sakura was the first to notice the effects. Her hand brushed the golden sand, and a tingling energy ran up her arm. She instinctively tried to focus her chakra, but instead, a wild gust of wind shot out from her palm, sending her flying back into Nami, who yelped and dropped her weather baton. Sorry. Sakura gasped, sitting up and rubbing her head. My chakra, it's acting weird. Robin nodded thoughtfully. Our devil fruit abilities are different here, too. Earlier, my extra arms wouldn't stay solid. Frankie and Usopp tinkered with a strange device they'd found half buried in the sand, part Den Den Mushi, part ninja communication scroll. As they fiddled, the device flickered to life, displaying a distorted image of a masked figure with gleaming silver eyes. Welcome, pirates and shinobi, the figure rasped, voice echoing through the night. You are guests on my island, my laboratory. You are the key to perfecting my creation. Zoro's hand flew to his swords. Show yourself. The figure only laughed. You will find me soon enough. But beware, This island's rules are changing. Power is no longer what you think. With a crackle, the device exploded into sparks. The ground trembled as a low, guttural roar rose from deeper within the island. Luffy grinned at Naruto, excitement shining in his eyes. Looks like there's a boss to beat. Naruto's eyes burned with determination. Yeah, and nobody's taking our worlds away. Sasuke, always calculating, nodded at Zoro. We should keep the teams together. Watch for more of those creatures. Robin tucked her book away. And watch our abilities. There's more at play here than just chakra or devil fruits. Sanji handed Naruto a bowl of broth. Eat up, knucklehead. You'll need your strength. Naruto grinned, slurped the broth, and offered some to Luffy, who accepted without hesitation. For a moment, laughter and the smell of food filled the clearing, pushing back the shadows. But in the trees beyond, unseen eyes watched. And in the island's heart, power gathered, waiting. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Fusion and Fangs. The air was thick with tension as the Pirate Ninja Alliance broke camp, drawn toward the deepening roars from the island's interior. Even the bravest among them, Luffy and Naruto, felt the hairs on their necks stand up. They moved in pairs and trios. Zoro and Sasuke scouted ahead, silent as shadows. Sanji, Nami, and Sakura guarded the rear, Sakura carrying extra kunai while Sanji offered her advice on real teamwork. Usopp, Chopper, and Frankie stuck together, Frankie's mechanical arms ready to shield the more nervous duo. Luffy, Naruto, Robin, and Brook formed the center, all eager for whatever awaited. As they wound through the trees, the unnatural gold sand became more frequent. Here and there, clusters of monoliths buzzed faintly, distorting the air around them. Occasionally, a ripple of light would flicker over someone's skin or weapon, energy from another world. Suddenly, Zoro raised a fist. Everyone froze. A clearing lay ahead, wide and silent except for the low growl echoing from its center. There, crouched atop a ruined stone altar, was a monstrous beast, part wolf, part bear, with twisted scales along its back and wild eyes that seemed to burn with both chakra and devil fruit power. Robin's voice was steady, but her eyes were troubled. That's not a creature native to this world. Someone created it. Luffy's fists clenched. Looks strong. I want to fight it. Naruto stepped up beside him, forming a Rasengan in his palm. Let's take it down together. Before anyone could stop them, Luffy and Naruto charged. Luffy's arms stretched, aiming a Gomu Gomu no pistol as Naruto's Rasengan spun to life. The beast leapt, lightning crackling from its claws. Luffy's punch collided with a swipe, while Naruto's jutsu drilled into its flank. But instead of weakening, the creature absorbed the blows, its eyes flashing red and blue. It roared, unleashing a shockwave that sent both attackers sprawling. Zoro dashed forward, swords ready, and Sasuke followed, Chidori blazing. They struck in unison, Zoro's steel and Sasuke's lightning merging as they clashed against the beast's scales. For a moment, energy crackled wildly, and the beast stumbled. Sakura and Nami, meanwhile, combined forces, Nami sending a bolt of lightning with her climb attack, while Sakura enhanced it with a burst of focused chakra. The bolt twisted, growing brighter and slamming into the monster's side. It howled, clearly hurt this time. Frankie fired a barrage of cola-powered missiles, and Usopp unleashed a rain of trick arrows, distracting the creature long enough for Chopper to dash in, grab an injured Luffy, and pull him to safety. Robin grew arms along the beast's back, trying to hold it down, but the creature's energy pulsed. Her extra limbs flickered, destabilized by the mixed power. Brook dashed in, his sword shining with soul energy, and slashed at the beast's legs, briefly weakening it. Sasuke and Zoro regrouped, sharing a quick, silent nod. Aim for its eyes, Sasuke muttered. As the beast roared again, Naruto caught his breath, eyes steely with resolve. Luffy, let's try something together. Luffy grinned, leaping to his feet. Yeah, Naruto channeled chakra into a Rasengan, while Luffy wound up a Gomu Gomu no bazooka. As the beast charged, the two attacked as one, Rasengan and bazooka slamming into its face in a spiral of blue and red energy. The impact rocked the clearing. The beast howled one last time, then dissolved into a spray of shimmering dust that sparkled and vanished, leaving only a scorched mark on the altar. For a moment, silence. Then Usopp let out a whoop. We did it. Chopper beamed, hugging Luffy and Naruto. That was amazing, but Robin's expression was grave. Someone is watching. This was only a test. From the monoliths, a distorted voice echoed, faint but menacing, impressive. But can you face what's next? Sakura stepped forward, fist clenched. We're not backing down. Whatever you're planning, we'll stop you. Luffy and Naruto exchanged grins, their spirits undimmed. Bring it on, they shouted together. The group pressed onward, deeper into the heart of the island, their bonds strengthened by the first true taste of this world's dangers and the promise of even greater challenges ahead. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Echoes and Revelations. The forest's quiet returned, but it was a different kind of silence, tense, humming with invisible energy. The team gathered in the aftermath, catching their breath. Naruto wiped sweat from his brow, grinning at Luffy. We make a pretty good team, huh? Luffy flashed a wide smile. Of course. Nothing can beat us when we work together. Sasuke sheathed his sword, his gaze on the scorched altar. That creature wasn't just strong. It absorbed and adapted to both chakra and devil fruit abilities. Robin crouched beside the remains, examining the glimmering dust. This material is neither from our world nor yours. It feels manufactured, artificial. She handed a pinch to Sakura, who frowned as chakra danced across her fingertips. I can't control my chakra here like I usually do, Sakura admitted. It's as if the island is rewriting how our powers work. Frankie and Usopp set to work scanning the altar and nearby monoliths with their makeshift device. Frankie muttered, whoever built this stuff had knowledge of both our sciences. That's seriously super weird. Nami circled the area, checking the air and pressure with her tools. The weather here keeps changing suddenly, but the patterns don't match anything I've ever charted. She glanced up. And it's getting colder, fast. Chopper, back in his small form, shivered and glanced nervously at the fading daylight. We should set up camp and keep watch. Who knows what else is out here? Zoro, quiet and contemplative, kept his eyes on the shadows. The real fight hasn't started yet. Just as everyone began to relax, Robin's Din Din Mushi suddenly crackled to life. The same masked figure from before appeared, clearer this time. The mask was etched with unfamiliar runes, and the eyes glowed with cold amusement. Well done, the figure's voice purred. You've survived the first trial. But the island is alive, and I am its master. My work is almost complete. Soon, your worlds will be one, ruled by me, and me alone. Luffy clenched his fists. Who are you? Why are you doing this? The figure laughed. Names are for the weak. I am the bridge between worlds, the one who will control every power you possess. Search deeper, if you wish. You'll find only pain. The image vanished, leaving a crackle of static in the air. Naruto's jaw tightened. He's scared of us working together. That means we're on the right track. Robin handed Sakura the strange dust. Let's study this. There's a connection between the stones and whatever is warping our powers. Sasuke stepped up beside Zoro. We need to move quickly. If this island can change the way we fight, who knows what else it can do? Zoro nodded. Stay sharp, everyone. As the sky darkened, Sakura helped Nami and Sanji build a small fire, while Luffy and Naruto collected wood, racing each other to see who could carry the most. Usopp and Frankie worked on strengthening their communications gear, and Robin and Sakura sat side by side, testing the island's golden sand and strange energy for any clues. Chopper huddled up close to Brook, keeping his eyes on the forest. At least we're together, he whispered. Brook smiled, his voice gentle. Indeed, my friend. And I feel a song coming on, one that's about hope in dark places. The fire flickered, shadows dancing as the night deepened. Somewhere in the distance, the island pulsed with new energy, unseen, yet deeply felt. The journey had only just begun, but already, alliances were forming, secrets unraveling, and hope rising where two worlds met. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6. Into the heart of the island. Dawn broke with an unnatural sharpness, the sky stained violet as if the island itself rejected normal sunrise. The Pirate Ninja Alliance awoke to a chill wind and a hum in the earth, like something old stirring beneath their feet. Sasuke was up first, meditating near the fire, eyes closed but alert. Zoro, ever the early riser, was already sharpening his swords. The others gathered quietly, subdued by the eerie energy in the air. Even Luffy was less boisterous, scanning the horizon with thoughtful intensity. Robin, her arms folded, nodded toward the west. There's a pattern to the monoliths. They point toward the center of the island. Sakura pulled a makeshift map from her pouch, adding Robin's notes and Nami's navigation. If we follow the ley lines, we might find the source of this power. Frankie, carrying a backpack full of tools, thumped his chest. Time to go super deep. As the group trekked through the shifting landscape, the environment grew stranger. Trees bent at impossible angles, flowers glowed with chakra-like light, and every step kicked up motes of golden dust. Here, devil fruit abilities acted erratic, at times enhanced, at times suppressed, while chakra-based techniques fizzled or surged unpredictably. Sanji tried a skywalk jump, and shot far higher than normal, crashing through tree branches. What the? Brook tried to summon the chill of the underworld for a joke, but frost danced along his bones for real, making even Luffy shiver. Naruto attempted a shadow clone jutsu, only for his clones to appear fused with sparkling dust, flickering in and out of reality. Nami frowned. We're not just out of our element. This island is changing us. Chopper examined a glowing flower. Even the plants are different. It's like everything here is hybridized. The group pressed on, led by Sasuke and Robin. Eventually, they stumbled upon a massive stone structure half sunk into the ground, a temple of sorts, built from the same black stone as the monoliths. Strange symbols, a blend of kanji and hieroglyphics, covered its walls. Luffy's eyes lit up. Treasure, maybe? Usopp shook his head. Or a trap. Zoro pushed the doors open, swords drawn. Inside, the air was thick and cold. At the center stood a pedestal holding a glowing orb, surrounded by an intricate circle of golden sand and runes. The orb pulsed, sending waves of power through the chamber. Robin approached cautiously. This is a convergence point. The energy here is overwhelming. Sakura traced a seal on the floor. It's absorbing chakra and something else. I think this is how the villain is fusing both worlds. Suddenly, the orb flared, and an image flickered above it, a swirling vision of the villain's masked face. His voice echoed through the chamber. You're close. But can you accept what you become? The longer you stay, the less you belong to either world. Sasuke glared. We won't play your game. The image laughed and vanished, but the orb's light intensified, cracks forming in its surface. Robin's eyes widened. It's unstable. If it breaks, it might merge both energies at once, catastrophically. Sakura moved quickly, combining her medical chakra with Robin's knowledge of the inscriptions. If we synchronize our abilities, maybe we can stabilize it. Naruto and Luffy stepped up, grins wide. Let's do it together. The others fell in, combining their unique strengths. Zoro channeled his focused will, Sanji added the heat of his diable jam, and Chopper provided guidance on the island's altered biology. As the alliance worked in harmony, their powers swirling in concert, the orb's glow steadied and slowly dimmed. The pedestal lowered, revealing a hidden staircase spiraling down into darkness. Robin let out a relieved sigh. Teamwork. It's the one thing this villain can't predict. Luffy wrapped an arm around Naruto's shoulder. Ready for the next adventure? Naruto flashed his trademark grin. Believe it. Together, pirates and shinobi descended into the unknown, the heart of the island awaiting, mysteries deepening, and their strange new bond growing ever stronger. End of Chapter 6. Chapter 7. Beneath the surface. The spiral staircase was narrow and slick with condensation. Every step echoed with the weight of two worlds, making the descent feel endless. Luffy pressed ahead with typical bravado, Naruto close behind, their grins only slightly dimmed by the shadows. Behind them, the Straw Hats and Team 7 moved carefully, alert for traps. As they reached the bottom, torchlight flickered to life along the walls. Robin brushed her fingers over ancient carvings, scenes of shinobi and pirates, chakra and devil fruit users, fighting and, in some panels, working together. These murals, Robin whispered, they show this fusion has happened before. Sakura knelt by a weathered script, tracing it with her finger. It looks like someone tried to unite both worlds, but it always led to chaos. Frankie marveled at machinery embedded in the walls, gears, cogs, tubes filled with shimmering liquid. Whoever built this place wasn't just an inventor, they were a genius at mixing tech from both our worlds. Super advanced. Usopp gulped. But if this place went wrong before, what if we can't stop it this time? Brooks' laughter rang out, a bit forced. Yo-ho-ho. No need to lose our heads, except me, of course. Deeper in, the tunnel opened to a great hall. At its center stood a circular dais, lined with statues, some of samurai, some of pirates, some of figures that seemed to blend both. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he spotted another monolith, its surface inscribed with a name he recognized. Uchiha, he murmured, tracing the kanji. And Gold. Roger? Nami's eyes went wide. You're kidding. How would someone from our world know a shinobi clan? And vice versa? Robin answered quietly. Our histories are more tangled than we realized. Someone has been working from the shadows, sowing seeds for centuries. Suddenly, the masked villain's laughter reverberated through the chamber. His form flickered into view above the dais, more solid than before. You found my sanctuary. Beautiful, isn't it? He stepped down from the projection, looking almost real, though his eyes still glowed unnaturally. Luffy stepped forward, fists up. Who are you, really? The villain's mask split down the center, and for a moment, two faces seemed to shimmer, one half with Sharingan, the other with a mischievous pirate smile. I am both. I am neither. I am what happens when the thirst for power ignores all boundaries. He gestured, and energy surged from the monoliths. Chakra flared, devil fruit power spiraled, and the walls shuddered. You can try to fight me, but this island, my laboratory, has fused me with both worlds' greatest strengths. You can never hope to win while divided. Sasuke's hand went in his sword. You underestimate us. Zoro stepped up beside him, eyes like steel. If you're so powerful, why hide down here? For the first time, the villain's confidence faltered. Because even the strongest fusion has limits. But soon, with your energy, I'll surpass them. The room shook. A pulse of chaotic power forced everyone to their knees, except Luffy and Naruto, who stood together, unwavering. Naruto's voice was steady. We're not afraid. Not as long as we have each other. Luffy nodded. Let's show him what our worlds can do. As the villain retreated into the shadows, monstrous shapes began to crawl from the darkness, creatures fused from both worlds, more dangerous than anything they'd yet faced. Robin called out. He's buying time. We need to break the cycle, destroy the monoliths. Sakura, Zoro, and Sasuke nodded, springing into action, while Nami and Sanji worked to shield the others. Frankie and Usopp aimed their gadgets at the nearest statue, seeking weak points. The battle began in earnest, strange, chaotic, desperate. But through the dust and chaos, one thing shone clear. Together, pirates and shinobi were more than the sum of their parts. And maybe, just maybe, this time, the fusion of two worlds could end in hope, not ruin. End of Chapter 7. Chapter 8. Unlikely Alliances. Chaos erupted as the chamber filled with hybrid creatures, hulking, snarling things stitched together from the nightmares of both worlds. One had the scales of a sea king, a wolf's head crackling with lightning, and limbs bristling with swords. Another slithered on a serpent's tail, its back covered in bones and hands that sprouted like Robin's power, but with a hungry mind of their own. Luffy and Naruto leapt in first, weaving between snapping jaws and swinging claws. Goma Goma no Gatling. Luffy's fists blurred, battering a serpent wolf's side. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen Narutos burst into being, zigzagging and launching kunai. But each time a beast fell, it reformed, absorbing stray chakra or devil fruit residue from the air. Sasuke realized it first. They're feeding off our attacks, growing stronger with every direct hit. Zoro's brows furrowed. So, we've got to cut them off from the energy source. The monoliths. Robin and Sakura nodded, dashing toward the nearest stone. Robin sprouted extra arms, flipping switches and tracing sigils, while Sakura slammed her chakra-laced fist into the base, sending cracks spiderwebbing up the monolith. Across the chamber, Sanji and Nami formed a tactical pair. Keep them busy, cook. Nami called, twirling her climb attack. With pleasure, mademoiselle. Sanji danced through enemies, his flaming kicks making a path. Nami summoned a cyclone, scattering the beast long enough for Usopp to fire his pop green seeds into the cracks, where vines exploded out, entangling and draining energy from the stones. Frankie rolled in with Brook and Chopper, cannon ready. Super Chopper. Time to test your new armor. Chopper transformed into his heavy point, grabbing Brook, who used his soul chill to freeze any beast that tried to reform. Frankie's cannon barrage shattered the frozen creatures, keeping them from drawing more power. Sasuke and Zoro, back to back, watched each other's blind spots. Switch. Sasuke called, tossing a kunai laced with electricity. Zoro caught it in his teeth, channeling the energy through his sword for a devastating strike. That's not half bad, ninja. Through it all, the villain's laughter echoed, taunting and bitter. You struggle, but the cycle cannot be broken. You are only accelerating your world's end. Luffy, battered but grinning, shouted, You talk too much. If you're so strong, come down and fight. Naruto's eyes flashed with determination. Yeah, quit hiding behind your tricks. The villain's image flickered. Cracks were forming in the monoliths, and his control wavered. The creatures faltered, growing unstable as energy bled from the stones. Robin called out, The more we disrupt the cycle, the weaker he gets. Keep going. Sanji and Sakura combined a powerful upward kick and chakra punch, shattering the largest monolith. The chamber shuddered as energy spiraled up, dissipating like smoke. For a heartbeat, the hybrid beasts dissolved, leaving silence behind. But the villain's masked visage remained, flickering with rage and desperation. You have delayed the inevitable. But now, you face my true power. The walls split apart, revealing a deeper passage, pulsing with raw energy, an invitation, and a challenge. Zoro grinned, swords gleaming. Now we're getting somewhere. Sasuke nodded. Let's finish this. As the group pressed forward, battered but united, Naruto and Luffy exchanged a fist bump, pirate and ninja, ready for whatever came next. End of Chapter 8. Chapter 9. Labyrinth of Shadows. A hush settled over the battered alliance as they entered the newly revealed passage. The air was heavy, thick with chakra and devil fruit energy swirling so tightly that the border between the worlds felt razor-thin. Stone walls glowed with shifting runes and murals, distorting as if alive, making the path ahead look endless. Naruto peered down the tunnel, nerves hidden behind a forced grin. Well, looks like we're past the warm-up. Luffy stretched his arms, shaking off fatigue. Just means we're getting close to the big boss. The group advanced, but the ground shifted beneath them. The floor split, separating everyone into pairs with walls rising between them. Robin and Sakura found themselves together, Zoro and Sasuke in another corridor, Sanji with Nami, Frankie with Usopp, Luffy and Naruto in the deepest hall, Chopper and Brook in the last. Each path became its own trial. Robin and Sakura's corridor filled with illusions, visions of friends and family in danger, each a trick meant to lure them off the path. Robin, calm and logical, helped Sakura focus. What matters most now is each other. The past can't distract us from the present. Together, they broke the illusion's hold and forced the door open with a blast of chakra and blooming limbs. Sasuke and Zoro's hall twisted into an arena, each confronted by specters of rivals past. Zoro saw Mihawk and old enemies. Sasuke faced Itachi, his clan, and Naruto's wounded form. Both men fought fiercely, but the enemies multiplied endlessly. Zoro grinned. Not real. Too chatty. Sasuke smirked. You cut left, I'll strike right. Combining a whirl of swords and Chidori, they shattered the illusions and moved forward. Sanji and Nami's trial was trickier, a golden mist that dulled their senses and triggered self-doubt. Nami recalled her days as Arlong's prisoner. Sanji heard echoes of Zeph's warnings. But as they clung to each other, memories of their crew, the Straw Hats, pulled them through. We've already chosen our family, Nami whispered, as Sanji swept away the mist with a fiery kick. Frankie and Usopp's path was a tangle of bizarre machinery. Each wrong lever triggered a defense, darts, explosions, or walls closing in. Frankie kept his cool, analyzing the tech's super strangeness, while Usopp's wild imagination spotted patterns no one else could. Together, they disabled the traps, pride and relief bright in their eyes. Chopper and Brook's corridor grew impossibly cold, with shadows whispering fears of being forgotten or left behind. Brook, ever the optimist, played a melody that warmed the air. Chopper, in guard point, protected them both until the darkness faded. Meanwhile, in the deepest corridor, Luffy and Naruto faced the most personal trial, a vision of themselves failing, letting their friends down, their worlds crumbling. Luffy balled his fists, refusing to believe in any world where he didn't protect his crew. Naruto, voice steady, declared, "No matter how many times I fall, I get back up. That's my ninja way." They broke the illusion by grabbing each other's arm. Pirate and ninja, united, and the vision shattered. At the labyrinth's heart, all 8 corridors converged on a vast, circular chamber. The villain stood atop a dais, power swirling around him, his mask now cracked to reveal shifting features. A Sharingan spinning in one eye, the other flickering like fire. He smiled, bitter and triumphant. You passed my tests, but at what cost? This power, this fusion, has always led to ruin. Join me, or watch your worlds unravel. Luffy's eyes narrowed. You talk about ruin, but you're all alone. Naruto's voice was calm, resolute. You never understood what real power is. It's not about taking, it's about sharing. The villain's face contorted with rage as energy erupted from the runes, distorting the chamber into a swirling storm of chakra and devil fruit essence. Robin murmured, his mask, his identity, is unstable. He's losing control. Sasuke drew his sword. This is our chance. As the final battle began, pirates and shinobi formed a circle, every bond and skill sharpened by the trials they had overcome. Together, they faced the storm. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. Storm of Worlds. The air in the chamber roared with a hurricane of power. Runes pulsed along the walls, channeling both chakra and devil fruit energy into the masked villain. His body flickered between forms, a shinobi wrapped in dark robes, a pirate captain's coat billowing in spectral wind, his eyes forever spinning, burning. You think teamwork can stop fate? He snarled, voice echoing as if split between worlds. All bonds break in the end. Luffy stepped forward, hat shadowing his eyes. You're wrong. My crew is my strength. That's why you'll lose. Naruto moved beside him, headband gleaming. I don't care how strong you are. We'll always stand up, together. The villain roared, and the storm exploded outward. Reality itself seemed to shatter, gravity twisting, colors inverting, the air thick with crackling energy. The alliance was forced back, but only for a heartbeat. Sasuke's Sharingan blazed, picking out the shifting weak points in the chaos. Robin extended arms to anchor the group. Sakura stabilized everyone with chakra pulses, keeping minds clear. Sanji and Zoro pressed forward through the gale, blades and flames cutting a path. Nami, Usopp, Frankie, Chopper, and Brook used every trick, weather, inventions, courage, and music to keep the monstrous energy at bay. The villain lashed out, summoning creatures made of living chakra and devil fruit essence, multi-headed hydras, spectral samurai, phantom sea kings. Naruto's clones multiplied, blocking attacks and providing cover. Luffy stretched and punched through the storm, every strike ringing with conviction. Zoro and Sasuke fought as one, steel and lightning, Sharingan and sword, carving a way forward. Sakura and Robin, standing back to back, combined healing chakra and blossoming arms to neutralize the villain's poison attacks. Sanji launched into the air, blazing legs kicking through a swirling wall of energy, clearing a path for Nami's storm to strike the villain's defenses. The villain grew desperate, splitting into multiple forms, each representing a different fusion of power. He attacked from every direction, but the alliance didn't falter. Sasuke called out, "He's unstable. The fusion is tearing him apart." Robin's voice cut through the chaos. "Aim for the mask. That's the key." Naruto gathered chakra, Rasengan blazing blue. Luffy wound up his fist, Haki swirling. "Let's go, partner." Side by side, they charged. Rasengan, Goma Goma no Red Hawk. The attacks combined, a spiral of flame and wind, striking the mask's dead center. It cracked, energy screaming out. The villain staggered, form flickering wildly. The alliance pressed the attack. Sakura's punch shattered the dais. Zoro and Sasuke's double assault cleaved through the remaining defenses. Robin's arms restrained the villain's limbs, while Chopper and Brook tended the wounded. Finally, as the villain fell to one knee, his mask splintered fully, revealing a face flickering between Uchiha and pirate, filled with pain and longing. "I just wanted to belong to both worlds," he gasped. Naruto knelt, voice gentle. "You never had to steal power. You could have asked for help." Luffy smiled softly. "It's not too late to stop." For a moment, the storm stilled. The villain looked up, tears in his eyes as the energies around him began to dissipate. But as the power faded, the island trembled, the merging energies threatening to spiral out of control. Robin shouted, "If we don't act, both worlds could be lost." Sasuke's eyes narrowed. "There's still time if we do it together." The alliance gathered, ready to face the true final challenge, saving both worlds before the unstable fusion consumed them all. End of Chapter 10. Chapter 11. Saving Two Worlds. The ground shook, cracks racing across the chamber as the island's unstable core pulsed with wild, unfocused power. The villain, his mask now shattered, his features shifting between worlds, knelt at the dais, eyes full of regret and terror. Robin quickly read the flickering runes around the chamber. "The convergence point is unraveling. If we don't rebalance the energies, both worlds will be destroyed." Nami clutched her log pose, watching the needle spin madly. "We can't escape, not until we fix this." Naruto looked at Luffy, determination flaring in both. "Let's do what we do best, work together." Sasuke moved to the center of the chamber, Sharingan spinning as he analyzed the streams of energy. "The monoliths are the keys. If we channel our chakra and haki into them at the same time, we might be able to force the fusion into harmony at least long enough for the worlds to separate." Zoro drew his swords, nodding at Sasuke. "Just point me where to cut." Sakura joined Robin by the runes, pouring her healing chakra into the cracks. "I'll keep the core stable as long as I can." Frankie and Usopp quickly patched up the mechanical parts embedded in the walls, using cola and quick-thinking engineering. "Super time for a field repair." Frankie cheered, while Usopp nervously aligned circuits and wires, hands shaking but steady. Brook, playing a hauntingly hopeful melody, and Chopper, working with Sanji to tend the wounded villain, spread calm throughout the chamber. At Robin's signal, the team split. Naruto, Luffy, Sasuke, and Zoro rushed to the four cardinal monoliths. Nami and Sanji stabilized the weather and energy currents using Climatact and Diable Jam. Sakura, Robin, Frankie, Usopp, Chopper, and Brook maintained the core. Each monolith responded to a different energy: chakra, haki, willpower, and bonds. Naruto slammed his hand onto one, flooding it with chakra, his thoughts fixed on friends and dreams. Luffy mirrored him, haki surging, while iron strong, his memories full of laughter, fights, and promise. Sasuke focused his own chakra, eyes locked on both past mistakes and new allies, vowing to protect. Zoro, swords embedded in the ground, funneled pure determination and discipline into the stone. Light raced between the pillars, meeting at the dais. The villain, weeping openly, staggered to his feet. I was wrong. I see that now. Please, let me help. Sakura hesitated, but Naruto nodded, offering his hand. It's never too late. With a shuddering breath, the villain pressed his hands to the dais, adding the last piece of needed power, the willingness to let go. Robin called out, now, everyone, focus everything you have, every memory, every hope, every bond. The chamber filled with radiance. The monoliths glowed white-hot, beams of energy connecting everyone in the room. The villain cried out, not in pain, but in relief, as the fused energies separated, flowing back toward their proper worlds. Suddenly, the island began to fade, the walls shimmering. Nami's log pose steadied. The pressure in the air lifted. Luffy and Naruto stood at the center, arms around each other's shoulders, grinning even as the floor vanished beneath them. In a final burst of light, the world split apart. The Straw Hats and Team 7 felt themselves pulled away, first into blinding whiteness, then into the comforting embrace of their own realities. When the light faded, the Straw Hats were back aboard the Thousand Sunny, Grand Line, wind on their faces, while Team 7 landed softly in the hidden Leaf Village, the familiar scent of pine and ramen in the air. But each of them, pirate and ninja alike, carried the memory of the other, the proof that bonds, once forged, could cross even worlds. End of Chapter 11. Chapter 12. Memories Across Worlds. The Grand Line was unusually calm as the Thousand Sunny sailed beneath a clear sky. Morning sunlight sparkled on the waves, and a rare hush settled across the deck. Luffy stood at the prow, gazing at the horizon, lost in thought. Nami finished recalibrating her log pose and glanced at her captain. Something on your mind, Luffy? Luffy grinned, rubbing the back of his head. Just thinking about Naruto and the others. That was fun, huh? Zoro snorted, polishing his swords. You call nearly getting crushed by a collapsing island fun? Sanji grinned, balancing a tray of breakfast plates. I'll admit, their teamwork was almost as good as our own. Robin smiled, flipping through a new notebook. The ancient language on that island. I wish we'd had more time to study it. Usopp was busy telling Chopper an embellished story about how he bravely defused a giant chakra bomb, while Frankie worked on a tiny model of the island's mysterious machinery. Brooke leaned on the rail, strumming a cheerful tune. Yo-ho-ho. If only I could see their faces again. Oh wait, I don't have eyes. Jinbe nodded thoughtfully. Our worlds may be separate again, but something tells me those bonds will last. Suddenly, Sanji brought over a steaming bowl and set it in front of Luffy. Here, Captain. I tried making it the way Naruto described Ichiraka-style ramen, Straw Hat edition. Luffy's eyes went wide with delight. Ramen. You're the best, Sanji. The whole crew gathered around, slurping noodles and laughing, the strange adventure already taking its place among their favorite legends. Meanwhile, in the Hidden Leaf Village, a gentle breeze rustled through the trees as Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke strolled down the main street. Life was back to normal, or as normal as it ever got. Sakura glanced at her friends, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Do you guys remember everything? Sasuke nodded, his usual stoicism softened. It felt real. Those pirates, they weren't so different from us. Naruto grinned, hands behind his head. I miss their crazy food. And Luffy, he's like the me of the ocean. They passed by Ichiraku Ramen, where Tucci was experimenting with new recipes. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, want to try something different today? He set down bowls inspired by Luffy's endless appetite. Double noodles, triple pork, and a spicy kick. Naruto dove in, his laughter echoing down the street. Best of both worlds. Sasuke rolled his eyes, but didn't refuse his bowl. Sakura shook her head, but she was smiling. Later that evening, as the sun set over Konoha, Sakura wrote in her journal, some bonds never fade, even if they belong to another world. Maybe we'll meet again, somehow. On the Grand Line, Luffy gazed at a single orange leaf that had fallen on the Sunny's deck. In Konoha, Naruto found a small, striped shell tucked into his pocket. They both smiled, feeling, if only for a moment, that the distance between pirate and ninja wasn't so far at all. End of Chapter 12. Chapter 13. Tokens of Adventure. Konoha's evening was calm, shadows lengthening beneath the warm glow of lanterns. Naruto sat on the rooftop of his favorite ramen shop, absently rolling the tiny, striped shell between his fingers. He'd shown it to Sakura and Sasuke, both of whom had noticed that, like the memories of their adventure, it didn't quite belong in their world. Sakura, ever the scientist, examined it under a lens. There's a strange energy in this shell. I think it came from that fusion. Maybe it's a bridge, a memory, not just an object. Naruto grinned. Then I'll keep it safe. Maybe it'll remind me to never stop making new friends, even if they're from across the sea. Down in the shop, Tucci was finishing his new Straw Hat Ramen special thick noodles, a swirl of spice, and a single shell as a garnish. The locals loved the story, inspired by a dream Naruto had. Try it. You'll feel brave enough to cross an ocean. Sasuke, usually stoic, returned to his training grounds that night with a new drive. His blade work was subtly different, sharper in some places, almost as if the memory of Zoro's style had left a mark. When Sakura caught him practicing, she raised an eyebrow. Trying something new, Sasuke? He hesitated, then nodded. There's always more to learn. Even from pirates. On the Thousand Sunny, the crew was discovering their own surprises. Luffy found the orange leaf again in his hat's brim, this time glowing faintly in the moonlight. Robin studied her notes from the island and found a new page had appeared, her handwriting, but describing a jutsu she couldn't remember learning. She smiled, closing the notebook gently. Some mysteries don't need to be solved. Just enjoyed. Chopper discovered his medical kit now included a roll of bandages with unfamiliar seals, chakra scripts that pulsed with a healing warmth. When Usopp gasped, Chopper grinned. I'll call it my shinobi remedy. Frankie's model of the temple spun by itself, lights flashing in a rhythm. Super, he declared. I've got blueprints for a new invention, Ninja Pirate Hybrid Power. Even Brook noticed the songs he played sometimes caught a different breeze, a faint, fluting note that sounded like wind through leaves. That night, as Luffy lounged on the deck and watched the stars, he mused aloud to Zoro and Nami. Do you think we'll ever see them again? Zoro shrugged, sword balanced across his shoulders. If we do, I hope they're ready for a rematch. Nami, tracing the shell Luffy had found, smiled. With friends like that, the world feels a little less lonely, even out here. Back in Konoha, Naruto placed his striped shell on his windowsill, next to his old goggles and treasured keepsakes. As he drifted off to sleep, he dreamed of a ship with a lion's head sailing across an endless blue, and voices calling to him in laughter and adventure. Somewhere, between sea and sky, a faint shimmer danced, promise of another crossing, someday. End of Chapter 13. Chapter 14. Ripples in Two Worlds. In the days that followed, life in Konoha and aboard the Thousand Sunny returned to its familiar rhythm. Yet, beneath the surface, quiet changes stirred. In the Hidden Leaf Village, Sakura noticed new kinds of wildflowers growing in her garden, delicate, orange blossoms she'd never seen before, shaped much like the Sunny's figurehead. When she pressed a petal between her fingers, she felt a brief pulse of energy, just enough to bring a fleeting memory of Robin's calm, scholarly smile. Meanwhile, Sasuke's sparring drew a crowd of younger shinobi. His sword work, always precise, now flowed with an uncharacteristic flair, spins and unpredictable strikes that seemed to echo Zoro's chaotic style. Konohamaru, wide-eyed, asked, "Where did you learn that move, Sasuke?" Sasuke just smirked and said, "From a swordsman I hope you never meet on a wanted poster." Naruto, energized by their impossible adventure, threw himself into his Hokage duties with a new sense of fun. When Shikamaru grumbled about paperwork, Naruto grinned. "This is nothing. Try fighting a pirate beast powered by ramen and storm clouds." His laughter, more infectious than ever, carried through the whole village. Even Kakashi, strolling by the ramen shop, noticed the new Straw Hat special on the menu. He quietly ordered a bowl, raised his mask, and took a bite, eyes crinkling with a rare, genuine smile. On the Grand Line, the Straw Hats felt similar echoes. Luffy's appetite, if possible, grew even wilder, but Sanji kept up with spicy ramen bowls added to the Sunny's menu. Brook composed a new song, a playful, rhythmic tune he called Nakama no Kaze, Wind of Friendship, that made the whole crew dance on deck, even Nami. Usopp swore his slingshot shots felt luckier, as if a little chakra flickered around his wrist with every draw. Robin, revisiting her notebook late at night, traced the mysterious jutsu notes and found a folded slip of paper. It was a tiny, hand-drawn map of a land she'd never seen, a spiral hidden in the corner, just like the swirl on Naruto's jacket. "Perhaps one day," she whispered, "the map will make sense." Frankie finished a new gadget, a mini weather orb, designed for Nami, powered by both cola and a swirl of golden sand he'd saved from the island. When she used it, clouds swirled and split with dazzling speed. "Weather Ninja Nami has a nice ring to it," she joked. Chopper's new shinobi remedy was already working wonders for the crew's bruises and scrapes, and he wrote in his journal, "Medical ninjutsu is super effective even at sea." That night, as the Sunny sailed beneath a sky blazing with unfamiliar constellations, Luffy lay on the figurehead and looked up at the stars. He felt the orange leaf in his hat's brim, glowing softly, and whispered, "See you again someday, Naruto." In Konoha, Naruto gazed at the moon from his window, the striped shell warm in his palm. He didn't know if the worlds would ever touch again, but he felt the promise in the air, the sense that no adventure and no friend was ever truly out of reach. Somewhere, where the wind changes and the waves meet the sky, a ripple shimmered, two worlds forever linked by hope, courage, and the laughter of friends. End of Chapter 14. Chapter 15, Festival of Bonds. The Hidden Leaf Village bustled with excitement as paper lanterns glowed along the main street. It was the annual festival of new leaves, a celebration of unity, new beginnings, and the stories that bind friends together. This year, the air seemed charged with even more warmth and anticipation than usual. Naruto helped Tsuchi set up a ramen stall decorated with bright orange flags and a painted lion figurehead. "Let's make this the best festival ever," Naruto cheered, handing out bowls of the now famous straw hat special to every passerby. Sakura and Ino manned a game booth. The prizes a strange mix: ninja stars, healing salves, and seashell charms Sakura had quietly crafted, inspired by the gift from another world. Sasuke, standing nearby, offered rare smiles as he watched the village children try a new sword-drawing contest. Each winner received a green sash, in the style of a certain swordsman. As the night deepened, the villagers released paper boats onto the river, each carrying a wish. Naruto, holding his striped shell, whispered, "Here's to friends across the sea, may we meet again." He placed the shell in his boat, watching it drift into the moonlit current. Far away, the Thousand Sunny bobbed gently in a quiet cove, the crew relaxing after a wild day of treasure hunting. Nami mapped a new route, her chart sprinkled with doodles, whirls of wind, ramen bowls, and a fox-like swirl she couldn't quite explain. Luffy, full from a feast of meat and noodles, sprawled on the deck, hat tilted over his eyes. "This is nice, huh?" he mumbled to Zoro, who was dozing beside him, three swords by his side. Brooks' Nakama no Kaze filled the night air, blending with the sound of waves. Sanji passed out bowls of shinobi ramen as Chopper and Usopp debated who could climb the mast fastest using ninja techniques. Frankie launched a little weather orb, and the cove glittered with miniature auroras like a festival under the stars. As the music faded, Robin, gazing into the darkness, noticed something odd: a glowing paper boat drifting out at sea, carrying a striped shell and a folded slip of paper. Nami reached down and scooped it up, unfurling the note. It read, in neat but unfamiliar handwriting, "No distance too far for true Nakama. Thank you for everything." Until next time. The crew fell silent, a hush of understanding settling over them. Luffy leaped to his feet, grinning at the moon. "Heh, guess we really will see them again someday." Nami tucked the shell into her treasure pouch. Robin smiled, holding the note close. Zoro, glancing at his green sash, muttered, "Better stay sharp. Next time, I'll win the eating contest." The festival lights in Konoha twinkled under the same stars that watched over the Sunny. And somewhere, at the meeting point of wind and water, a ripple passed through both worlds, a whisper of future adventures, of laughter shared and friendships unbroken. End of Chapter 15. Chapter 16. Winds of Change. The days after the festival brought a quiet sense of transformation to Konoha. The villagers, their spirits lifted by celebration, noticed little changes, a greater willingness to work together, laughter echoing in the training grounds, and a newfound curiosity about the wider world. Naruto found himself called on more and more by young shinobi for advice, not just on jutsu or missions, but about friendship, teamwork, and dreams. When Boruto asked him, "Dad, what makes a true friend?" Naruto smiled and answered, "Someone who lifts you up, believes in you, and sticks by you, even when you're chasing the craziest adventure." Sasuke, too, was different. He trained more openly, sometimes even inviting others to spar and try out new sword techniques. Rumors spread of a new one-eyed swordsman school, though Sasuke only smirked and said, "I just appreciate a good challenge." Sakura's medical skills flourished, enhanced by her studies of the glowing flowers and the shell's energy. She soon developed a new ointment that healed bruises faster than ever, her own tribute to Chopper's shinobi remedy. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Naruto stood at the edge of the village, gazing at the distant horizon. He held the shell, feeling its warmth, and whispered, "Thank you, Luffy." I hope you're still chasing your dream. On the Thousand Sunny, the Straw Hats felt the subtle shift as well. Luffy's already indomitable spirit now carried a new dimension of empathy. When Chopper hesitated before treating a wounded animal on a new island, Luffy gave him a pep talk worthy of Naruto himself. If you believe in your friends, you can do anything. Zoro practiced with his swords at dawn, the green sash tied to his arm. He now trained in both raw strength and the art of unpredictable, flowing movement, sometimes thinking, not bad for a shinobi trick. Nami's maps became more daring, decorated with notes about strange flowers, storm techniques, and even the faint outline of a village hidden in the leaves. Robin's notebook filled with jutsu and runes. She even taught Luffy a basic meditation exercise that, much to everyone's shock, calmed him for almost 10 minutes. Frankie and Usopp continued their wild inventing, creating ninja mode gadgets that only sometimes backfired spectacularly. Sanji, every now and then, left a bowl of ramen out at night for travelers between worlds. Brook played Nakama no Kaze at every sunset, and Chopper's Shinobi Remedy became a mainstay for the whole crew. One night, anchored by a peaceful island, Luffy climbed the mast and shouted at the moon, "Oi, Naruto, we're still going strong. Don't fall behind." A breeze stirred the sails, carrying a faint, familiar laugh across the waves. Far away, in Konoha, Naruto looked up at the same moon, grinned, and felt the promise of new adventures, new friendships, and the ever-present wind of change. No matter how far apart, some stories never end. They just wait for the next great chapter. End of Chapter 16. Chapter 17, Signs and Omens. It was just another peaceful morning in Konoha when the sky shifted, a sudden gust carrying the scent of salt and sea, stirring the leaves outside the Hokage's office. Naruto paused in his paperwork, looking up as the wind rattled the open window. On his desk, the striped shell trembled, pulsing softly with golden light. Strange, Naruto mused, picking it up. The warmth traveled up his arm, and for a moment, he heard distant laughter and the crash of waves. He grinned, half expecting to see a pirate ship rounding the corner. Just then, Boruto burst in, waving a letter sealed with a swirl and crossbones emblem. "Dad, this came for you. There's no address, and it smells like the ocean." Naruto took the envelope, heart pounding with excitement. The message inside was simple, written in a bold, unfamiliar scrawl. "We're sailing under the biggest, bluest sky yet. The wind's weird today, feels like an adventure's coming. Hope you're ready. Luffy." Naruto laughed out loud, feeling every word. He raced to find Sakura and Sasuke, eager to share the news. Far out on the Grand Line, the Thousand Sunny cut through a rolling fog. The crew was in high spirits after discovering a mysterious island shaped like a giant leaf. Nami charted their course, but her compass spun unpredictably, as if pulled by an invisible force. Robin, quietly observant, found a scroll tied to the mast, sealed with the same symbol she'd seen in Konoha's library, a spiral leaf. She read the note aloud as the crew gathered. "Keep looking to the horizon. You never know when friends might be closer than you think." "Naruto," Luffy cheered, punching the air. "Let's find that island. I bet Naruto's got new ramen recipes by now." Zoro grinned, tightening his green sash. "I want a rematch. He still owes me a duel." Sanji smiled, twirling a ladle. "As long as I get to cook for that Sakura-chan again." Brook played a lively tune. Yo-ho-ho-ho. New friends, new adventure. Chopper bounced excitedly, clutching his shinobi remedy. "Maybe I'll learn another jutsu." The fog cleared as the Sunny sailed on, revealing a bright sunrise and the silhouette of a distant, uncharted land, a place that seemed both new and oddly familiar. Back in Konoha, Sakura pinned the letter to her wall beside her journal. Sasuke, passing by, paused to read it. For the first time in a long while, he felt a spark, a sense that the journey wasn't over yet. As the day ended, the same wind that swept across the Grand Line rustled the leaves of the Hidden Leaf Village. For every straw hat and every shinobi, the message was clear. The bond between worlds was alive, stronger than ever, and the promise of reunion was only a horizon away. End of Chapter 17. Chapter 18. The Horizon Stirs. In Konoha, rumors were already swirling. Shopkeepers spoke of odd tides in the village river, while ninja returning from patrol described patches of mist that tasted faintly of salt and carried the distant cry of gulls. At the edge of the village, the old training ground shimmered at dawn, sometimes reflecting not trees and grass, but endless blue waves. Naruto, unable to hide his excitement, called a meeting with Sakura and Sasuke beneath the Hokage monument. He clutched Luffy's letter, eyes bright. "Something's happening. I feel it, and not just because of this." He held up the striped shell, which now glowed softly every time he touched it. Sakura agreed, sharing her own discovery, A new wildflower, bright blue and orange, had bloomed overnight at the memorial stone, and the garden's breeze hummed with the faintest strains of music. Brooke's melody, she'd swear. Sasuke, ever watchful, pointed out the subtle shifts in the air. I've seen chakra react like this before. But this isn't just chakra, it's something else, too. The boundaries are thinning. They weren't the only ones to notice. Kakashi, perched atop a rooftop with a rare sense of urgency, scanned the horizon with his Sharingan. If a crossing is coming, we'll need to be ready for anything. Meanwhile, on the Thousand Sunny, the crew felt the change in the wind. Nami's maps refused to hold their shape, the coastline of the next island shifting into a pattern that looked suspiciously like the swirl of the hidden leaf. Usopp swore he heard the distant clang of kunai, while Chopper dreamed of forests he'd never seen. Robin studied the scroll from Naruto again, noticing an extra line in the sunlight, one that hadn't been there before. Follow the wind at sunrise. Trust your crew. Believe. At dawn, Luffy climbed the mast, shouting to the crew, "Let's head where the sun rises. Something awesome is waiting for us." The Straw Hats cheered, their excitement as contagious as ever. As they sailed, the mist thickened, sparkling with motes of gold and blue. The Sunny creaked, but not with fear. Frankie grinned. The ship feels supercharged. Sanji sharpened his knives, Chopper checked his medical kit, and Zoro practiced with a new sense of anticipation. Suddenly, the sea ahead split open, swirling into a glowing whirlpool, just like the one that had first brought Naruto and his friends to their world. Nami's log pose spun wildly, but this time, she smiled. Let's see where the adventure takes us. Back in Konoha, the same mist rolled through the training grounds, pooling around Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. The air buzzed with potential, the shells and flowers in their hands glowing brighter. Naruto laughed, brimming with hope. Get ready, guys. I think our friends are coming. And as the sun broke the horizon, light poured across both sea and village, blurring the edges of two worlds. Somewhere between, the distance closed. Adventure, it seemed, was calling once more. End of Chapter 18. Chapter 19. Reunion at the Threshold. The world shimmered, sea and sky folding together like the edge of a dream. On the Grand Line, the Thousand Sunny rode the glowing whirlpool as if on a path of pure light. Each straw hat felt a familiar, joyous thrill. This wasn't danger, but destiny. On deck, Luffy hooped and pointed ahead. Look, that's not any island I've ever seen. A village appeared, suspended in the haze between sea and sky, its rooftops scattered with swaying trees and banners painted with spirals and lions. Nami's eyes widened. No way, is that? On the other side of the shimmer, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke stood at the edge of Konoha's training field, their hands clenched around their glowing tokens. The mist parted, and they saw the outline of a ship, lion's head prow gleaming, crew waving in delight and disbelief. The boundary rippled, and in an instant, the two worlds overlapped. The Thousand Sunny's hull settled gently onto soft grass, while the village's main street stretched seamlessly to the ship's ramp. For a heartbeat, there was silence, then a joyful rush. Luffy leapt off the ship, at flying. Naruto charged forward, grinning from ear to ear. Luffy, their handshake was so enthusiastic it nearly toppled them both. Sakura ran to Robin, embracing her with genuine relief and excitement. You came back. I've got so many questions. Robin laughed, pulling out her notebook. And I have just as many answers. Zoro grinned at Sasuke, sword slung over his shoulder. Ready for that rematch? Sasuke smirked. Just don't blame your swords when you lose. Nami and Sanji greeted Sakura and Ino at the ramen stall, where Tucci handed out steaming bowls and the Straw Hat special banner waved overhead. Chopper and Chopper, Konohamaru's summoning gone comically awry, exchanged shy greetings, while Usopp tried to impress Boruto with his wildest tales. The villagers gathered, awestruck but smiling, as the Straw Hats mingled with shinobi, trading skills, stories, and laughter. Frankie and Frankie. Yes, there was a Konoha craftsman named Frankie, immediately launched into a friendly argument over cola-powered inventions. A sudden tremor rolled through the ground, not the dangerous kind, but a ripple of energy, as if the world itself was celebrating their reunion. The village and the ship, the sea and the trees, all blended into one radiant, impossible place. Robin whispered to Sakura, "This is what true Nakama means. No borders, no limits." Naruto clapped Luffy on the back. "We did it. Believe it." Luffy threw an arm around Naruto's shoulders, grinning at the assembled friends. "Let's eat, let's party, and let's see what kind of adventure we can have together." As the sun rose high, two worlds, pirate and ninja, came together not for battle or crisis, but for celebration, unity, and the start of a new journey. For as long as bonds endured, no distance could keep them apart. And somewhere, far above, a ripple in the sky sparkled with the promise that even greater adventures awaited them all. End of Chapter 19. Chapter 20. Farewell under the same sky. The festival in Konoha lasted well into the night. Lanterns swung from every tree and street sign, filling the air with golden light. Villagers and pirates mingled in happy chaos. Children from both worlds raced through the crowds, eager for stories, tricks, and sweets. At the heart of the celebration, the Straw Hats and Team 7 sat together around a sprawling banquet table. Ichiraku's ramen, Sanji's seafood, and Sakura's desserts all shared the same space, plates constantly refilled by smiling hands. Luffy and Naruto held a legendary eating contest, cheered on by the whole village. Bowls and plates stacked high, their laughter ringing out even as both threatened to burst. Zoro and Sasuke sparred in a friendly match, drawing a huge crowd. Their swords clashed and sparkled under lantern light, but ended in a rare draw, both sheathing their blades with mutual respect. Sakura and Robin traded recipes and field notes, while Nami and Ino plotted out a cross-world trade route, mostly in hopes of collecting new treasures and rare herbs. Brook played Nakama no Kaze on his violin as Chopper and Chopper, one reindeer, one transformed ninja, danced clumsily to the music. Usopp regaled a circle of kids and a few ninja dogs, with tales of the time he saved both worlds with his slingshot and quick thinking. Frankie and Frankie unveiled a pair of mini Sunny model boats for the river, launching them side by side into the night. As midnight neared, Kakashi raised a cup in a rare, public toast. To new friends, new adventures, and bonds that even time and distance cannot break. Everyone cheered, their voices blending with music and the crackle of festival fireworks. But as the night deepened, a gentle breeze stirred, the same strange wind that had brought them together before. Lanterns flickered, and the sky shimmered. The boundary between worlds was thinning once more. Sakura squeezed Naruto's hand. "It's time, isn't it?" Robin nodded, a soft sadness in her eyes, but hope, too. "Our paths will cross again. I believe it." Luffy leapt to his feet, hat in hand. "Next time, we'll have an even bigger party. Right, Naruto?" Naruto beamed, heart full. "You bet. Until then, keep chasing your dream, Luffy." With farewells, gifts, and a final embrace between Nakama, the Straw Hats returned to their ship as the first stars appeared overhead. The Sunny's anchor lifted, sails unfurled, and the mist wrapped around her hull. The villagers watched, waving, as the pirate ship sailed into the horizon, slowly fading, not with sorrow, but with the promise of return. In Konoha, Naruto found the striped shell glowing on his windowsill. On the Sunny, Luffy discovered a single orange blossom tucked into his hat. Both grinned, knowing their worlds were only ever a breeze apart. As the festival lights dimmed, a new dawn rose over both sea and village, bright, open, and waiting for the next adventure. Because true bonds, once forged, never end. They only grow stronger with every crossing, every dream, and every shared sunrise. End of Chapter 20. The end for now.